Good day, Garetans. Welcome to today's lesson, our second lesson, of which we'll be continuing from where we left off from the last lesson, whereby we talked about the biosphere, its components, and how these components they play a role in the biosphere and maintaining and supporting life on Earth. So today, I want you to be able to define what are biotic factors at the end of the lesson, list the various biotic factors, and compare these factors in terms of how they contribute to the environment and how they are connected to each other. So, looking at these pictures, we can see that there are various pictures, or rather say organisms that are found on the lithosphere or in the environment or in certain ecosystems, whereby they show that these are biotic factors, because when we define biotic factors, we say these are the living organisms within an ecosystem. Now, when we talk about an ecosystem, we're talking about an area or a space whereby there are various organisms that interact with each other every day, and there are relationships between them. So these biotic factors, they are classified into three groups. These three groups, they are named as producers, consumers, and decomposers. So we are firstly going to start with producers. Producers are organisms that make their own food from substances they get from the environment. And these organisms, they are called producers or autotrophs, because they are able to make their own food. So examples of producers, we have plants and algae, of which they are producers because they are able to get substance from the environment that they can use to produce their own food. For example, they use sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water to produce their own food, of which they produce this food through a process that we call photosynthesis, whereby they produce food in the form of glucose that is much later stored in their leaves for feeding purposes. Producers, they can be classified into different groups further, whereby now we focus more on their dependence on water and where they grow. So we know that we have hydrophytes, we have mesophytes and xerophytes, as you did in grade 8 natural sciences, whereby you focused on different plants, and also in grade 9, whereby the plants are classified according to their characteristics, the adaptation to where they can grow, and their dependence on water. So hydrophytes are plants that grow in water. Examples are elodia and water lilies. These plants, they're only able to survive in water because they're very fragile and soft, and they're only adapted to water areas. And then also have mesophytes. And then mesophytes, these are plants that need moderate supply of water, light, and temperature. We have examples such as marula tree, the sour fig, and also mango tree. So now mesophytes, these are plants that we usually grow in our home gardens or even in the yard, whereby you can water them in the morning and in the afternoons, because these ones they just need moderate water. There's no need for them to have high supply of water like hydrophytes. We also have xerophytes. Now, xerophytes, these are plants that grow in very dry regions whereby there is little or no water. For example, we have cacti and aloes. Now, they are able to grow in such areas because they have very thick leaves, whereby these leaves they are able to store water and be able to supply the water throughout the plant when needed to grow and produce their fruits. We also have consumers. Now, consumers, these are organisms that cannot make their own food and have to eat other organisms. And these, they are classified as consumers or heterotrophs. Consumers are divided into three groups. We have primary consumers, secondary consumers, and tertiary consumers. Now, primary consumers are animals that feed on plants only. They are called herbivores. Examples, we have an antelope, zebra, wildebeest, buffalo, rhino, and a sheep. Also, other organisms that are there in our homestead, such as goats or cows. They also feed on plants. We also have now secondary consumers, of which these are animals that feed on primary consumers. They hunt and kill primary consumers so that they can feed on them. They are called carnivores. Examples have a dog, leopard, and snakes. We also have tertiary consumers. These are animals that feed on secondary consumers. They are also carnivores. Examples have hawks, eagles, also have falcon, peregrine, and we also have vultures. We also have omnivores, of which they still fall under consumers. Omnivores are animals that eat animals and plants. These make them primary and secondary consumers. Example are human, pigs, and baboons. As we know, as humans, that we eat fruits, we eat vegetables, of which they are classified as plants. We also eat meat, also eat chickens, pork, of which they are now classified as animals. They are animals, these ones. So we also have predators. Now, predators, they catch live prey, kill and eat them. Examples are lion and snakes. Prey are the animals that are hunted and fed on by predators. We also have scavengers, of which they eat what is left over by predators. Examples are hyenas, crayfish, and also have vultures. Now, moving forward, we have decomposers. Now, decomposers, these are the organisms that break down the dead plant and animal bodies, as well as animal wastes, and they are called decomposers or saprophytes or saprovores. Examples are fungi, mushrooms, and bacteria. Decomposers play a very important role in ecosystem because they return nutrients to the soil, which are then absorbed by the plant roots, which makes the plant to be rich in nutrients of which we need in our bodies to have a strong immune system and be healthy every day, and also to have various vitamins uh, such as vitamin C that we need, that is very important for our immune system. We also need these decomposers because they are essential in nutrient cycles. As I've said, that these nutrients that are reabsorbed by the soil, so that they can be again enriched in our plants. And that is the end of our lesson for today. Thank you.